All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to No Final Bell. Finally back with the two of us. Last week it was just me, but got through it as best as we could. But this week we're going to talk about Impact as well as AEW Dynamite Collision.
Yep. So this was Victory Road, and next week I'll be talking about Impact 1000. So kind of bear with me. We start off with the countdown. Alan Angels issued an open challenge to which Guido Maritato, if you don't know him, Nunzio, little little Guido Maritato from ECW answered, but Alan Angels, or no, Guido Maritato couldn't get the job done against Angels on the countdown. Then we had ABC taking on Moose and Brian Myers, to which ABC won. ABC Ace and Bay Club, too sweet. Then we get to the main card of Victory Road. Leo Rush beats Kushida to retain the X Division title. MK Ultra, Masha Slamovich, and Killer Kelly beat Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans to retain the Knockout Tag Team titles. Um, Decay is no more, as Crazy Steve took on Black Taurus and beat him. Now, this next match surprised me, not just because of the match itself, but also because of the result of what happened. So, Kenny King was defending his digital media championship against Tommy Dreamer. But each man had something to put on the line. Kenny King was putting his title on the line, and Tommy Dreamer was putting his career on the line. So, Tommy Dreamer just continues to surprise everybody because Tommy Dreamer's career is still intact, and he is your new digital media champion. Tommy Dreamer as a champion in 2023 is just wild to think about, but he's out here. He's out there doing the thing. Then we had Jordan Grace and Deanna Purrazzo, to which Jordan Grace beat Deanna. Um, these two men have been going back and forth for months now, and it just recently culminated at Victory Road in an anything goes match, to which PCO beat Bully Ray. Then we had the Rascals taking on the Motor City Machine Guns for the Impact Tag Team titles. Now, I just want to clarify, I did not mention the Rascals defeating Subculture at Emergence to become the Impact Tag Team champions. So I just want to get that out there right now. Um, but here we are at Victory Road. The Rascals taking on the Motor City Machine Guns for the Impact Tag Team titles, and the Rascals retained. Then we had the Knockout World title on the line, Trinity versus Alicia Edwards. Now, that was kind of a weird one at first when I heard it, because I was like, Alicia Edwards? Of all the knockouts? But I was like, fresh competition for Trinity. So, but it didn't matter much anyways because Trinity ended up beating Alicia to retain. So this is the big one. This is a big. This is some big news for Impact. At Bound for Glory, they have their Hall of Fame ceremony, which we were there last year for Bound for Glory. We saw Raven get inducted. Well, this year we get a duo. An iconic duo at that. And no, I am not talking about the inspiration. Don't get your hopes up. I am talking about a commentary duo. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, Don West and Mike Tenay, the iconic commentary duo for TNA, will be inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame at Bound for Glory. It's been too long for them to not be inducted, and especially to honor the life, the career, the legacy of Don West, and to have it be immortalized in the Impact Hall of Fame, well deserved. So now we get to the main event of Victory Road: Josh Alexander versus Steve Maclin. The highly anticipated big payoff to this month-long rivalry that was supposed to happen back at, I think, Rebellion, but it had to get postponed because Josh Alexander went down with, I believe, a tricep tear. And then, on top of that, Steve Maclin had injured his groin and needed surgery. So both men were not at 100% in the match. And, both men were targeting each other's surgically repaired injuries. Steve Maclin was targeting Josh Alexander's arm and tricep injury. Meanwhile, Josh Alexander was targeting Steve Maclin and his groin injury. Working the leg, working, doing like crotch chops on the top turnbuckle and all that. So, but ultimately the end result was Josh Alexander beating Steve Maclin. So, I don't think this is the end between those two men, but time will tell. And like I said, next week is Impact 1000. So a lot of returning names and a lot to talk about with that. But
Yeah, so for that, I did see it that they're gonna return with if people used to watch it back in the day, they're gonna have the whole
oh, are you talking
um
about Feast or Fired?
no, no, I'm talking about the 10-minute time limit match between I think it was, oh gosh, I totally forgot who it was about, but there was a picture that I saw that back in the day they had like the 10-minute time limit when they were on FSM back in the day, and it was like Styles and a bunch of other people in the ring. It was like a 4 or 5 man match, and they had a time limit draw, and then they had a judge if they went to a time limit draw. Almost kind of like a pure wrestling match. If it went a certain time, they would had the judges
Hmm.
announce the winner of the pure wrestling match. But this one's more so like they're gonna have a 10-minute draw. But the thing about it is, well, you got an Impact 1000. Of course, it's gonna be a time limit draw. Like, let's be honest, 10-minute match between the said opponents. Of course, it's going to be a time limit draw. It's going to go to the judge's scorecard. I mean, that's just the way that it's going to probably go. But yeah, if there
Well,
is an old picture there that shows, they kind of made it like a sports thing where time limit draw, and then it
hmm.
was on FSN back in.
Well, here's the thing too. The only thing I'm gonna say about that is we said the same thing about the one match between Hangman and Danielson, where they had the judges in case it went to a 60-minute time limit draw, and we all thought, oh yeah, they're gonna have another 60-minute time limit draw, but they didn't. So,
Yeah, but that's 60 minutes compared to 10 minutes. Again.
well, yeah, but even then. Speaking of AEW,
Yes, we start off with John Moxley against Big Bill for the International Championship, and just of course in this match, but Moxley has to bleed in the match. I don't know exactly when it happened during the match itself, but he was full Charisma Mask in this match against Big Bill
it doesn't further a story. Why does Moxley keep doing this to himself?
because he loves violence. He loves pain.
Okay,
He's
I
part of the
get it.
BCC. They gotta,
I
you
get it.
gotta, you gotta
But
bleed.
blood does nothing to enhance the story of the match, especially not if you do it week in and week out.
Yeah, true. But again, Big Bill was trying his darnest. Big Boo, um, Ricky Starks was trying to get involved in the match itself to try to help Big Bill beat John Moxley, but ultimately it was too much. As John Moxley, I think, tapped out Big Bill in this match, if I remember correctly, um, to retain the International Championship. And then after the match, the
Yes, I
BCC
did.
and Ricky
Yeah.
Starks and Big Bill beat each other down, and it will lead into a match at Collision later on Saturday, where they will have a tag team match. No, very random tag team match, but um, speaking of tag team matches, well, of course we'll talk about it, but there's some teams that definitely want to go after the AEW World Tag Team titles, and we'll talk about that later on when we talk about our Collision talk. But yeah, good for John Moxley. He's been a hell of a champion. I think he's going to be having a nice lengthy reign, just as long as Orange Cassidy did before he lost the title to John Moxley itself. Um, but yes, we're gonna get on. We're gonna continue. Don Callis comes out next, says they beat Kenny Omega twice, give us some respect. Says that Takeshita is better than all the aces, and calls Takeshita the alpha. And the
Well,
real
he,
one,
not to cut you off, but he said like, oh, better than uh, he name dropped that he was better than Okada, and it's like, eh, I get it for the heat thing, but like that's a stretch. I mean, it was just as bad as like when he was Omega's manager, and you know Don Callis was singing Kenny Omega's praises of like, oh, better than Hogan, better than Flair, better than this.
yeah.
Tone it down, tone it down, Callis.
He calls Takeshita the alpha, and a real one, unlike what Jericho was. Don Callis feels nothing after beating Kenny Omega and takes everything and a little more, being the alpha. Says, we've broken your body, now we will break your heart. He will reveal his creation and will face Kota Ibushi. Um, will do anything they can to him. Thoughts? I would assume that what this means is that Takeshita and Kota Ibushi are going to face off at Wrestle Dream, and it's not a bad idea to have in Seattle, Washington. I think Kota Ibushi
Well,
and
here's
Takeshita, when
my
they
question.
did meet in the ring
Yes,
for
in
all
DDT.
all in,
Well, that
it
too,
was a pretty brutal back and forth um,
but also
interaction
at Blood and
between.
Guts.
Yes, so it makes sense for these two men to finally face off in what can be called as a Japanese dream match in
I
itself.
guess.
But
But here's my question though: is Kota Ibushi officially signed? I mean, it doesn't matter
I don't
really
think
if
so.
he is or not, but
I think he's more so just doing
is he just
one-off
like a special
appearances here.
attraction
I
for
think
AEW
so.
right now?
Probably just a special attraction for
Okay,
AEW right now.
like I said, it's really not that big of a deal to me if he is or not. I mean, but if he's pretty much like AEW's special attraction, I'm okay with that. I mean, like, and that's my thing too. Is like I'm not opposed to AEW giving Kota Ibushi like these matches and everything.
Yeah,
I'm really not, because at least Kota Ibushi is doing something for work. Like,
true.
because he's no longer under contract with New Japan, as far as I know, and I'm pretty sure he has like wanted to be a part of an American promotion. So AEW is like pretty much the best option, considering he didn't want to go to WWE at the time. He wanted to finish out his dates in Japan, which I mean, I still don't really know why he decided not to go, but at the same time, looking back on it now, I'm like, yeah, he probably made the right decision
Hmm.
considering look at the treatment of Shinsuke Nakamura. It took him years to get the kind of like treatment that he's getting currently.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a good match regardless. I mean, I'm grateful. And I will say this, I mean, even talked about it. It's about time that Tony Khan is actually making matches before, a couple weeks before Wrestle Dream. Like, this is the way you need to start booking these pay-per-views, to start booking the match, some matches beforehand. If you want to have a couple, you know, wait a while, play the waiting game and then book it for like the say like a week or a couple weeks beforehand, fine. But we gotta have some matches that are
Right.
gonna be good enough to start selling tickets for
Yeah.
Seattle, because you start seeing it as like, damn, there's some good ass matches.
Yeah,
I
because I
mean,
mean, like, look at what happened with All Out. There was only like two matches announced before All In for All Out, and then it's like after All In happened, they were like, "Oh crap, we have this other pay per view that like we don't have really any matches announced for," and they
right,
kind of just had to like go on a whim and be like, "Okay, we got these matches, but Dynamite isn't until like the next day. Where are we going to announce them? Oh, social media."
right,
So
yeah. So we'll see exactly how this match is gonna go, but Takeshita has been on a hot streak. Yeah, I mean, beating Kenny Omega twice definitely makes you
that
out to
I would just
be
say that
something
beating
of a
Kenny
big
Omega
shot.
just once is like a pretty mighty feat to
Mind you, he
accomplish, but
only
beating him twice,
mind you he only beat him singles only once technically, but I mean
yeah, I see what you're
pinning
saying.
him and all in that trios match, and then also pinning him again and all that was huge. So Takeshita only going after Kota Ibushi, I guess makes sense. But I don't think
Oh, the Golden
The
Lovers.
whole Don Callis and Kenny Omega storyline. I do like the way that they're going with it right now. It's not truly over with. If this is the way that you want to tell the story, it's good. This is the way you want to tell the story. You don't want to tell a story where it's like Takeshita and Kenny Omega for like 6 months. No offense, WWE. Hate to say it. But if you want to tell a story, you have them go up against different opponents, but still kind of in the same, you know, the whole Don Callis, Kenny Omega storyline is still going on, but it's different opponents involved with Kenny Omega, and it makes for fresher matches, and I love it. That's the way you want to build these storylines: is have fresh opponents and fresh names, but still kind of intertwined with each other. Because if it's like, oh well, you're gonna have Kenny Omega, you're gonna have Takeshita, you're gonna have them face off again, then it gets a little dull. I hate to
Yeah.
say it. Now that it's like, oh you got Kota Bushi against Takeshita, I'm like, okay, now I'm
Now I'm
intrigued.
paying
Now I'm
attention.
paying attention
Now I'm
because
hooked.
I want to know what's going to continue, what's going to go on with this. Is this going to lead into the end of the year type of thing? That's what I'm really looking forward to with this, and I love it. It's got me hooked. It's got me intrigued. It's got me motivated. It's got me like, okay, I'm gonna watch and see what's gonna go on, continue to go on with the story itself. So I love it. So we're gonna go on to our next match here. Tony Stark faces off against. It's all a fatal four-way match of
Yeah,
all former
it's a
AEW Women's
it's
World
a
Champions.
four-way
Tony
women's title
Storm,
eliminator.
Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, all been AEW Women's World Champions before, and they're going to face off. Whoever wins gets to face off against the current AEW Women's World Champion at Arthur Ashe Stadium. And to really no surprise, I mean, we kind of figured this was probably going to happen, but yes, Toni Storm beats Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, and Nyla Rose. To face off against Saraya at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Now, the real question is, does Saraya retain at Arthur Ashe Stadium, or is Toni Storm going to win the title back that she truthfully lost?
I think Saraya's going to keep it. But we could also get Toni Storm, which, like, in that case, then I would just look at it and be like, oh, well, you clearly just gave Saraya the world title to have her big moment in London.
No, to be personally honest with you, I would like for Saraya to retain here. Because we do not need to have the whole hot potato thing with the Women's World Championship.
Well, especially also, you don't need to make Toni Storm a 3-time champion.
Yeah, I get it.
Or technically a 4-time.
Right. Well, let me continue before...
it would be a 3.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
So, the real thing here is that, Saraya, I get it, she hasn't really competed a whole lot in AEW herself. I would like to see her retain, but I do like the story that they're telling with the whole Outcast and everything like that. What I would like to see is Ruby Soho getting sort of involved in this match and leading into something. I really would. And even if it leads into Wrestle Dream, because they could make it a triple threat match for the Women's World Championship at Wrestle Dream between the 3 members of the Outcast. And honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I would like for something to happen at Arthur Ashe Stadium here, and there needs to be... Ruby Soho needs to get involved in some way, shape, or form to make this into a triple threat match at Wrestle Dream. And I would like that because, again, Saraya, Toni Storm, we already know what's going on with that. Saraya, Toni Storm's kind of, lost her whole, she's gone a little cuckoo there. Yeah. I mean, chin's up, tits out. Watch out for the shoe.
Chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe.
But again, I think that I would like to see Ruby Soho get involved in this match, some way, shape, or form in Arthur Ashe Stadium. Of course, this is going to be releasing on, Thursday as we're recording on a Wednesday. So I mean, of course, Grand Slam Dynamite has already happened, but again, I'm ready to talk about it. I'm ready for the matches that are going to be happening at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Again, this is a big dream of Marty and I to eventually go to. Maybe next year, we'll see. It'd be cool. Because they always seem to stack up the card. It's a very pay-per-view-esque show that you get on live television.
Yeah.
For free.
On free television.
So, as far as Toni Storm, as much as it'd be nice to see her go after her and win a title, I think her having a couple reigns as world champion was enough to convince me that she's finally got that spot, but I don't think she's going to beat Saraya. But honestly, you would have to think that Ruby Soho, who does have a new look, is going to get involved some way, shape, or form, and I think it's going to set up a match. Because I think Ruby Soho is going to get jealous some way, shape, or form that Toni Storm and Saraya keep on getting opportunities, but she doesn't. So I think that's going to create some kind of tension between the 3 of them, and it's going to lead into a match. I know I've said it before, and I thought it was going to happen all out, but it did not happen all out. I think it's going to happen at Wrestle Dream. I think it's the best time to have it happen. So I'm hoping for it. Tony Khan, do not let me down. Hopefully I can be right about this for once. So for the first time ever, Chris Jericho against Sammy Guevara. They've been together with each other for over 4 years through the ups and downs. Sammy still doesn't know the lyrics to Judas, which Chris is like, it's alright because you're wearing key anyway. Chris Jericho was blown away by the way Sammy would wrestle and brought him on to come along with him along the journey. Chris Jericho has seen him grow in front of his eyes and is proud of what he has done. And Sammy has come out to thank Chris for changing his life and everyone else's because without him, there would be no AEW, which is probably more so true than not. It was the main reason I think why Tony Khan brought Chris Jericho into AEW in the first place, is then he can teach a lot of these.
Well, um, I think it was more so Chris Jericho came there to prove that like AEW is legit and like they're about to be a viable alternative to WWE.
Right.
So
But didn't just come. He didn't. But Sammy didn't just come there to be Chris Jericho's sidekick, and wants everyone to look at him the same way they look at everyone else, and it's why he needs to win. Chris says he was brought in to be a drawing, and gets closer every single night. Says he has to do it on his own. Chris says he has to beat him to get to the next level, and Sammy has to be the best version of himself to beat him. And Chris says he doesn't know if he's ready to beat him yet. And then Sammy says, there you go. You don't put any kind of trust in me at all. Well, you know what, Chris? The one that you see right now, the man that you see right now, will beat you. Says after they face off against each other, they will win some tag team titles after he beats Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho says he will beat the shit out of Sammy and expects the same thing out of him. I think we're gonna get a battle. We're gonna get an absolute battle, a brawl. We're gonna get a match of the ages between these two men. I mean, I guess I know like get it that Chris Jericho isn't as good as he once was, maybe during his WWE run. But let me tell you something: Chris Jericho can still go when he needs to, and I think this match between him and Sammy is going to be good. Sammy usually puts on some pretty good bangers and matches, regardless of who he faces off against. I know he's a very big high flyer and will do the crazy spots that he usually always does against Chris Jericho. But let me tell you something: this man is very highly underrated. I don't think a lot of people give Sammy Guevara a lot of praise at all for the stuff he's done in his 4 years of being in AEW. But let me tell you something, man. Sammy Guevara is one hell of a talent. This is a man that is a pillar, faced off in a fatal four-way match, at Double or Nothing, and this is a man that just deserves everything coming his way. And I agree with him. With Sammy needs to be Chris Jericho to get to the next level, and I think he's gonna get it done tonight.
yeah,
Or done at Arthur Ashe Stadium. I think he's gonna get it done. He's gonna beat Chris Jericho. He's gonna get to the next level. I think that this is the first step to him possibly going after the World Heavyweight Championship. It would be nice. I think he could be a future world champion. I really do. I think he's got the skills and can be that kind of main eventer.
well, the thing about it is like if you ask me, he should have won it at Double or Nothing because it's fresh off of the announcement that him and Ty are expecting, and like that was when Sammy was like red hot. I mean, not that he isn't still, but like at Double or Nothing, that was when you should have pulled the trigger on Sammy being world champion. Not that like MJF shouldn't have still been the champion, but like yeah, it's just the kind of thing of like he would have deserved it more than right then and there after the announcement that him and Ty are expecting.
Yeah, but it would have been tough because then he would have had to beat MJF, who was also red hot during that time too.
That's true. I mean, it was a difficult situation all around, and at that point, it's like you really have no other choice but to keep the title on MJF.
Right. So we get on to Adam Hangman Page and Brian Cage, which wasn't terrible of a match. I mean, these two men can wrestle. Don't get me wrong. Brian Cage and Adam Hangman Page can can battle when they need to. Brian Cage, I mean, the things he does as a big man, especially taking you know supplements he does. That man can move around like it's like he's like a cruiserweight sometimes, and it's
Yeah.
crazy to even think about. And then of course we know how good Adam Hangman Page is. These two men battled, brawled, in and out of the ring itself. But ultimately, Hangman Adam Page does get the victory against Brian Cage, and Swerve Strickland and Page will face off against each other at Wrestle Dream, which you know again, either man can benefit from a victory here at Wrestle Dream. I mean,
Yeah.
Hangman Adam Page maybe more so than Swerve Strickland, but again, Swerve Strickland needs to get that win to continue the hot streak that he has been on. If Hangman Adam Page does lose here, it's tough. Both of these men really do need to win because if either one of these men loses, it's like, what do you do with them?
Yeah.
You put them on the shelf, have them go down, you have them go up. It's very tough for both of these men. But then again, we also, on Rampage Grand Slam, we will get the six-man title match
Yeah.
between the Elite and the Mogul Embassy for the ROH six-man tag team titles. And if not a lot of people know, the Young Bucks have some history for those six-man tag team titles
Yeah.
before.
Yep. I forget who their partner was, but they did.
Personally, I mean,
I'm thinking about it now. I think it was Omega.
I know we're not really going to talk
But
about
then,
Rampage, but Rampage, again, Dynamite and Rampage Grand Slam are probably the best time to watch Dynamite and Rampage because you
yeah,
always get some great matches. You really do. Of course, it's probably not going to be like 2 hours of Rampage like it used to be. I think it's going to only be 2 hours of Dynamite and then an hour or so of Rampage. But again, it's still going to be something to watch
yeah.
in Arthur Ashe Stadium. Of course, we will not talk about Rampage. We're only going to talk about Impact 1000, Dynamite, and Collision next week. Not Rampage, but doesn't mean
We're not talking about Rampage
I
next
mean,
week.
we probably could, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We probably could instead of Collision, but who knows? Um, but yes, it's still going to be a good match to see. There are other tag team matches that are going to happen in Rampage, mostly singles matches for Dynamite. But we get on to, speaking of a tag team match, we get on to the next match as Darby Allin and Nick Wayne face off against Danny Magic and Angelo Parker.
Cool Hand
And actually beat Danny Magic and Angelo Parker in the six-man in this tag team match itself. And then we get on to the main event of Dynamite as Samoa Joe and Roderick Strong face off against each other, and the winner will face off against MJF for the World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, we know with Roderick Strong and Neck Strong since
Yes,
2000.
His neck health. Gotta look out for his neck health.
But Samoa Joe is no joke. He really is no joke. Honestly, he got the victory here against Roderick Strong, but I wouldn't even be mad if he beat MJF for the AEW World Championship. This man, I get it, he is only really, won a World Championship in TNA. This man needs a major World Championship so freaking badly. He didn't get it in WWE. I think he needs to get it in AEW. But is he going to be the one that's going to beat Max? I have no clue.
I think he kind of needs it.
Honestly,
I think he needs it more. I think he needs that win more than MJF.
Personally, I would not be mad with him losing, but the thing here is, who does MJF go? Who does Samoa Joe?
Where does MJF go after that?
Well, yeah, especially if he loses here. I mean, I guess he has the ROH World Tag Team titles with Adam Cole, so that could be a possibility.
That's true too. That's true too. I didn't even think about that.
But if if Samoa Joe was to win the world championship right then and there in Arthur Ashe Stadium, which I don't know if it's going to happen or not, again, who does he face off against at Wrestle Dream? I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point.
because would it be against Roderick Strong, the man that he had to beat,
I doubt it.
or does MJF get a rematch at Wrestle Dream, or is it Adam Cole? It could be Adam Cole.
Yeah, because
Ooh,
I
I didn't even
mean,
think about that. Honestly, I would like for Samoa Joe to win because then
yeah,
Adam Cole
so,
could win. And then the problem is that I don't want to see Samoa Joe being a transitional champion. I really don't. But it would almost make sense to have him be a transitional champion because then you could have Samoa Joe beat MJF at Arthur Ashe Stadium,
mhm.
and you would get a lot of heat for it because this is
This is
MJF's
MJF's hometown.
background.
Yes.
But if you think about it, it makes the most sense because then Adam Cole could beat
Samoa
Samoa Joe
Joe.
for the world championship, and then creates that whole tension between
Yeah.
MJF and Adam Cole, and that's how you break up the tag team.
Yeah.
And then you have them face off at the Kia Forum in Full Gear in November.
Well,
I wouldn't be.
apparently though, um, AEW has considered making a uh, having a pay-per-view in December, and I had seen like a possible scenario of like, oh, MJF versus someone, and then they played out a scenario where it's like, oh, say Samoa Joe wins the title at Arthur Ashe, then Adam Cole wins it from Joe, thus setting up MJF versus Adam Cole at that December pay per view if it happens. And then literally like the whole thing with the bidding war, which at this point it quote unquote bidding war. He resigned, but then it
Oh,
basically
what?
create.
MJF actually re-signed with AEW?
I thought it was obvious. Why else would he have come back after Double or Nothing 2021 at All Out and like won the casino ladder match?
True.
So, and even then, who's to say that like you end with MJF being a two-time world champion, and then it creates the narrative of like, oh, he might sign with WWE as the AEW world champion, and it's like that's how you trick everybody into thinking like, oh my god, he's actually like the AEW's world champion is going to go to the rival company with their world title. It's like, no. See, MJF is smart. He's going to make people think that he's going to sign, that, he's going to pull
That's
like the
why I
biggest.
think this is why I really do think that having Samoa Joe beating MJF here and getting so much heat as a world champion would not be a
Yeah,
bad idea. But again, I do not know if I see that happening, and it's painful to see because
yeah.
and Samoa Joe has been so
Samoa
hot.
Joe is red hot right now. You have to pull the trigger.
Because
But,
personally,
yeah,
If I'm Tony Khan and I'm the one that's booking AEW, I
yeah.
would pull the trigger, and it
Yeah,
has so many plans of like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do for the next few months. Like
right.
I'm gonna have this, be here. Then I'm gonna set up Adam Cole versus Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe at Wrestle
Hmm.
Dream. Then I'm gonna set up possibly MJF and Adam Cole at either Full Gear or possibly a December pay per view.
Yeah,
Because again, and then possibly have MJF beat Adam Cole. But then again, then we're gonna get a lot of people. Well, then you're hoppitating the title all over the place. Which yes,
yeah.
but
But look at
hear us out. That is okay with me because as long as it means that MJF can get the title back,
Yeah.
there can still be other guys he can go up against. Like
Right.
there's Jay White. There's other guys out there that he can go up against. Don't get me wrong.
Well, not to mention, look at what WWE did before. They hot potatoed the world championship like several times in the Attitude Era. But I look at it this way: they did it so that they could further a story with, um, you know, the
So
person that they
again,
wanted.
Tony Khan, I think this is what needs to be happening. Unless you have something better that's gonna happen, which honestly I would not mind. But eventually it's gonna end with Adam Cole and MJF in some way, shape, or form
Yeah.
competing for the AEW World Championship.
Women.
AEW World Championship, sorry. In some way, shape, or form again. And I think this time you would have to pull the plug and have Adam Cole beat MJF. I think the end goal is for Adam Cole to finally get the one up on MJF and become the AEW World Champion. Because if
Yeah,
it's
I
not
agree.
Samoa Joe, it's got to be Adam Cole in some way, shape, or form. It's got to be. I
Yeah.
think that's the end goal here. That you're telling a big old story between both of them being bros, only for Adam
Bros,
Cole
yeah.
that stab MJF in the back, win the world championship, and send MJF, I don't know, almost packing in a way.
Hmm.
So it would have to be one of two things. If it's not Samoa Joe, it has to be Adam Cole. Um, we're kind of getting, I don't want to say on a time crunch, but we have to keep it going. Ricky Starks and Big Bill face off against Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. And let me tell you something. I was very shocked of who won this match. I really was. Ricky Starks and Big Bill get the victory here
Yeah.
on Collision against Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. And it's setting up a Texas death match
Yeah.
between Ricky Starks and Bryan Danielson. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta watch out with swearing on here because I think, we really can't, but I think, the S word's fine. If we see the F word, we cannot,
Yeah.
YouTube is, weird about it. But, holy wow. Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks in a Texas death match. It's better main event on Collision. I'm just saying that now. I'm sure it will, but man, this is a match that I'm looking forward to seeing. That's why I think it might be better to talk about Collision than Rampage at this point, because the Texas death match, man. I know. I mean,
I was gonna say that might be the only thing that we talk about from Collision. Other than that,
it might be better to talk about Rampage. Yeah, you're probably right, but
and to think that literally in like a week's time or so after that Texas death match against Ricky Starks, he's facing Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Dream. Like,
was that next week?
October 1st. It might not be next week, but I'm just saying, like, within like a week or two's time,
I was gonna say I think
he's going to be facing Zack Sabre Jr.
Next month? Is it next Sunday? It might be next Sunday.
Either way, like I said, within a week's time, within a week or two's time.
Oh, it is next Sunday.
Yeah. Well, it's a week from this Sunday. So, within a week or two's time, he's going to be facing Zack Sabre Jr. And it's like, he might not even be at 100% by the time he faces.
Probably not, but let me tell you something. This man
Which, by the way, Zack Sabre Jr. has even stated, he's like, y'all better wrap him up in, y'all better cover him in bubble wrap from head to toe before his match against me. Because, like, he was basically calling Bryan Danielson fragile.
I mean, he's probably not wrong there. So we're gonna get onto this next match. It's not really much to talk about this match. FTR beats Iron Savages to retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships, and then the Workhorsemen look to be the next team to challenge for the tag team titles.
Now, I hate to talk about it like this, but like that match against the Iron Savages was kind of a nothing match.
It was, but I do like the thought
And
that FTR.
I hope that the Workhorsemen won't be much of the same thing because I
It probably
really
will
want
be,
to I
but it's
really
all
want to
right
give it the benefit of a
because you know
doubt.
what we can talk about. We can talk about it later. That I guess we can possibly talk about it now. Move it up.
Hmm.
Aussie Open. Oh, actually, no. We'll talk about that later because we got to talk about that match that they had first. But
Well, even that was
yeah,
kind of like a
the Workhorsemen and FTR are gonna face off against each other for the World Tag Team titles later on in Collision.
yeah.
Of course, FTR is gonna retain. Let's be honest here. But I do like that they're giving tag teams you don't really see very often like an open challenge for the tag team titles.
Yeah, I do like that. It kind of freshens up the tag team division.
It does. It does, and I like it.
But also, yeah, to your point, it's like no, they wouldn't just give away FTR versus Aussie Open at Wrestle Dream to have the Workhorsemen take on Aussie Open.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and especially not after it was a year ago, or it will be a year ago to the day since FTR and Aussie Open last faced off against each other. So, you know, like yeah, they
What?
it was
Wrestle
at it was at
Wrestle Kingdom.
no, no, that's in January. That uh that first
G1.
clash, no, it was a New Japan show in London.
Oh, of course.
So
You know what? I just realized. You know what? It made all the most sense for AEW to be an All In because the Jacksonville Jaguars play in London like all the time. So I didn't even think that didn't even play in my mind because like literally Jacksonville, the Jaguars are playing in London 2 weeks in a row. They're playing up against the Falcons Sunday, and then the Sunday afterwards, they're playing as the road team against the Buffalo Bills. So actually, well, I think 2 weeks afterwards because it's technically October 8th that they're facing off against. Um, but again, actually no, yeah, no, 2 weeks in a row because October 1st they're gonna play up against the Falcons at 9:30, and then the week after they're playing up against um, the Bills.
mm,
So as funny as hell, they're playing two London games in a row. I find it very coincidental that how
mm,
much the Khan family loves
yeah,
London and it ended up happening in All In. So again, we'll talk about this, but John Silver faces off against Anthony Bowens and actually
yeah,
beats
this was
him with the help of Evil Uno. That
yeah. But I mean, just in general, like that match was a little weird.
I wonder if this is gonna
But
set up uh, in some way, shape, or form. I wonder if this is gonna set up um, a Dark Order versus Acclaim and Daddy Ass World Trios Tag Team title match in some way, shape, or form. Because they could.
I didn't even think about that. It could, yeah.
It could happen a Wrestle Dream for the AEW World Trios Tag Team titles. And honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I really wouldn't. Because
It makes a lot of sense.
it's not like the Dark Order hasn't faced off for those titles before.
That's true. That's true too. Yeah.
So
So I
yes,
mean, either way,
we're gonna keep it going here. Aussie Open beats a Jobber Tag Team. We didn't even get
yeah.
the
We
name
didn't
of
even
the.
get their name.
We didn't even get their name. That's how much of a Jobber Tag Team that they were.
AEW pulled the Rock and basically said it doesn't matter what your names are.
But after the match, they have announced that they want to face off against FTR at Wrestle Dream October 1st for the AEW
It
World Tag Team
has
Championship.
been
It's made official
confirmed.
that Aussie Open and FTR will face off at Wrestle Dream for the
Yeah.
AEW World Tag Team titles.
And like I said
Holy
before,
crap. This is going to be
yes.
one hell of a match.
And like I said before, 1 year to the day since the last time these two tag teams have squared off in London.
It's crazy, man. It is absolutely crazy how good this card is going to be for Wrestle
Yeah.
Dream. But it's going to be
Yeah.
one hell of a dream. It's going to be one hell of a event, one hell of a match card. I mean, Wrestle Dream in Seattle is going to be better than All Out. No offense to them, but it almost looks like it could be
Yeah.
better than All In with the matches that are on
Yeah.
Wrestle Dream, which is crazy to even think about. But yeah, I mean, Tony Khan, keep it up, man. Keep it
Yeah.
up, because
The
you got me
quality of these
intrigued.
pay-per-views as of late, man,
I know.
just each one gets better.
Yeah, they do. So Andrade El Idolo faces off against Scorpio Sky. Two guys we have not seen in like months, it feels like.
Well, to be fair, Scorpio was also injured,
Yeah, and Andrade was
so
just
Andrade was just
Andrade was kind of
MIA.
just with the House of Black,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden now he's with,
they kind of dropped that storyline.
and then all of a sudden he's in a storyline with Bullet Club Gold. What, like what?
Yeah, they kind of dropped the House of Black storyline, which
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
weird.
As soon as the House of Black lost those World Trios Tag Team titles, you kind of haven't really like seen them, which is
Yeah, they kind
sucks.
of bounced. It's like, oh yeah, hey, like
I
here's the House
mean,
of Black.
I guess they could be getting some time off, which is not bad. But again, we'll talk about it. But we did see somebody from House of Black in the crowd. It
Yeah,
just happened to be not the members of the House of Black. But yeah, Andrade El Idolo beat Scorpio Sky with a figure eight yet again.
yeah,
And then Bullet Club Gold will come down, and Jay White will face off against Andrade El Idolo next week on Collision. Thoughts? Again, it feels kind of weird that like Andrade was heavily involved in the House of Black, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden Bullet Club Gold is now trying to get him. But like, I don't know what they're doing with Andrade El Idolo. Like, I get it. Like, I understand. Like, even WWE kind of like lost like plans of what to do with him, and now AEW is kind of almost doing the same thing. But like, again, Andrade's very underrated. He's actually a really good wrestler
Yeah.
in the ring. He really is. Um,
In a way, I almost kind of say
Personally,
like he
I
should go
will
back to
say
Mexico.
I will say I don't think he's gonna beat Jay White here, but I think it's gonna still be a really good match between
Yeah.
these two.
Like I said, in a way, I feel as though like Andrade should just go back to Mexico because he was booked so much better in the Mexican wrestling promotions like CMLL and AAA and all that
Right.
stuff.
So we're gonna see Katsuyori Shibata at Wrestle Dream. Thoughts?
Yeah,
As long as it's not Daniel Garcia for the Pure Wrestling Championship, I will be happy.
you don't want to get entertained by
No, I
his,
do not want to get entertained. I mean, I do want to get entertained by him, but I do not want to see them wrestle for the umpteenth fucking time.
Yeah,
I really don't, because again, we've seen that before, and we don't need to see it for like a third or fourth time. So,
right.
just saying. Um, it'd be interesting to see who we can face off against. Hopefully, it can be for the Pure Wrestling Championship. I think it needs to be some big name, but I guess we'll find that out soon. At this point, it's like, okay, cool, he's wrestling at Wrestle Dream, but who could it be?
Yeah.
Who? Yeah, so the Righteous face off against the Hardys and beat them. I don't know what the hell they are doing with the Hardys as of late. I get it because of Jeff's whole situation that ever since they came back, now it's like they kind of.
Well, not to mention,
So,
it's like
I just want to know, has Tony Khan just lost faith in the Hardys because of Jeff's situation? Because if so, that's bullcrap.
yeah,
It
I
really
agree.
is kind of bullcrap.
Well, especially considering this is the Hardys' final run, so you would have thought by now it would have been booked better, but
Yeah. I'm hoping that maybe eventually they can be the ones that can have an open challenge at FTR for the tag team titles, because
that would be nice.
I think they deserve it. Maybe after Aussie Open, it'd be cool.
That would be nice.
Because I would love to see FTR and the Hardys face off
So
against
would
each
I.
other. I mean, we've said it on this show before, haven't we not?
Yeah.
You can
We have.
watch your older episodes. We had talked about we'd love to see the Hardys versus FTR. the tag team match that has never happened before that we would love to see happen. FTR and the Hardys, the battle of the two of the best tag teams of in the world,
Yeah.
facing off against each other. The former belt collectors versus the more recent belt collectors facing off against each other.
Well, not to mention,
it makes all the most sense for them to face off for the World Tag Team titles.
It's the clash of two generations of tag team wrestling.
True.
So,
the past to the present, yes. Yeah. So honestly, I think I would like to see that happen, but you need to start winning matches because a 3-4 record as the Hardys in AEW does not look exactly great.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And I get it, Jeff needs to prove himself again, but having him losing matches with his brother is not exactly the way that you can have him prove himself in this sense. It's kind of funny that AEW hasn't jumped a gun and made him a singles star and kind of broken up the Hardys, but honestly, I'd rather have them both together because Matt, if there's anybody that can keep Jeff in line, it's probably his older brother Matt. Just saying.
Maybe.
But then the Righteous, after the match, looks to want the ROH World Tag Team Championships. Thoughts?
When don't they?
Well, they would have to go after.
They'd have to go after Better Than You, baby.
Yes, sir.
And
that's
happen. Not an easy task.
Why do I feel like this is going to be on the 0 hour of
Death Before Wrestle Dream. Final Battle?
Or it could be Final Battle. Who knows?
I was going to say, I think that's more of like an ROH thing than
but ultimately, I mean, Righteous against Adam Cole and MJF, that'd be something. And then we get into our main event here of Collision as Chris Statlander faces off against Britt Baker. Britt Baker put on 3 different finishers on Chris Statlander, and Chris Statlander is still kicked out.
So, and even just in general too, the finish, I didn't agree with it, but just, before we get there, the whole, it was 3 finishers. 3 finishers. The Canadian Destroyer, the Angel's Wings, and the Curb Stomp. All 3 of those in one sequence to Chris Statlander, and she kicked out at 2. Okay, she still had some level of respect to actually, sell the moves by kicking out at 2, but even still, no, those are finishers. Why are you kicking out of this? I mean, ultimately, I can understand, wanting to keep Chris Statlander as your champion, but it still doesn't defeat the purpose. It still doesn't defeat, the reason why you kicked out of a Canadian Destroyer, an Angel's Wings, and a Curb Stomp all in the same sequence.
Right. I guess it doesn't make her look pretty damn tough as a champion after kicking out of 3 moves in a row like that. But
I guess, but I could understand if they were transitional moves, but a Canadian Destroyer, Angel's Wings, and a Curb Stomp in one sequence are not transitional moves. So, but I don't want to spend too much time on this, and let's get to the finish.
Yeah.
Britt Baker had lockjaw on Chris Statlander, but then Statlander just kind of rolled her over, and it was a 3 count.
Yeah, I remember retained the TBS championship because of that.
What?
I know, crazy. But Julia Hart was in the stands and was watching on. Could she be the next challenger for the TBS championship? I think so. I think so. I mean,
in a way, you kind of look at it and be like, well, what has Julia done to earn an opportunity? But at the same time, I look at it this way: it's open challenge.
It's open challenge, the fresh face, the face off against the TBS championship. So,
an open challenge like that is not a bad thing.
Right.
So
No, it's not. And I
just
think
let it
that definitely
happen.
helps, the talent that you don't really see
Yeah,
very often
yeah.
get utilized a lot more often. So I guess we'll find out. We'll have to watch Collision. We'll have to watch Dynamite to see. But again, everyone, this is going to conclude this episode of No Final Bell. Please make sure to follow us on social media, Tinkle Sports. Also, make sure to, you know, like, comment, subscribe, and follow for more on Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. We do have Sunday morning Tinkle every Sunday at 9 a.m. We have Out of Turn 4 every Tuesday at 5. Typically, the show every Wednesday at 5, unless, we got something else going on or busy. So, I know the last couple of weeks have been Thursday at 5, but we're going to try our darnest to make it Wednesday at 5. But if we do have to make it Thursday at 5, at least it's just another day, same time. So again, thank you for watching, everyone. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.